Welcome to the recording of session 4 of the Tanzu Office Lounge series focusing on Tanzu Observability by Wavefront. I'm Lindsay Osaka, the Senior Tanzu Account Executive for the Ontario Public Service. And so one of the biggest benefits that this solution offers in context of the OPS is its ability to break down barriers between developers, operators, and SREs. It empowers teams with unified visibility so everyone's on the same page and can see in real time what is and isn't working across your entire portfolio, whether that consists of digital cloud applications, on-premise applications, serverless, containers, microservices, or even underlying data center infrastructure. Additionally, it's platform agnostic and represents minimal risk of disruption to your architecture, regardless of whether or not you run VMware or even VMware Tanzu solutions today. So with that said, we appreciate your interest and we hope you enjoy the following presentation.
Really excited to share an overview of Tanzu Observability by Wavefront. I'm going to kind of go through how we got from monitoring to observability, and then I'm going to hand it over to Dave to share the tool in real time. So cloud adoption and digital transformation are really changing the way that businesses go to market, and outcomes are really what they're looking to drive. On the right, we've got common business goals: business growth, delivery of new products and services, and the ability to iterate based off of market feedback and quickly implement into any market, anywhere, on any device. On the left, we've got common technology goals: delivery models to support that business growth, continuous delivery, and acceleration of delivery times. And cloud adoption and digital transformation are key to delivering customer happiness, reduced time to market, disruption in the market, and really that business growth. But how we deliver technology requires the right foundation. VMware's core mission is to help customers achieve a hybrid cloud and to promote applications to run wherever makes sense for that specific workload. We've also got customers running native public cloud apps. Together, these two are multi-cloud applications. And VMware's second mission is to deliver consistent operations across all multi-cloud applications, because without that, we can't give our developers nor our customers a great experience. And where Tanzu Observability sits is really in that consistent operations pillar. But infrastructure delivery needs to change because application teams are changing and accelerating their delivery model. This is largely changing through loosely coupled architectures known as microservices, which essentially enable teams to release independently and more frequently. But with these architectural changes, the stack and architecture are becoming more complex, which ultimately leads to operations challenges. This transformation on infrastructure and how teams are now building applications can lead to significant operations challenges. Essentially, the more diverse the stack, the more people and tools are required to manage and respond to incidents, which leads to silos of telemetry and teams only caring about their specific service and their consumers. Ultimately, this leads to less time focused on innovation and automation. And observability is really key to solving day two operations. You likely have a handful of these tools. An APM tool, typically they're great for understanding traditional monolith apps during development, as well as root cause analysis after an incident. But APM was not designed for modern microservices. It's expensive at scale, and it only gives insight into one layer of the stack. You may also have logging tools. Logging tools are great for forensic investigations after an incident, but they're not great at real-time analysis or quickly identifying root cause. You may have check tools. Typically, they are good for static hosts in the data center, but not useful for cloud environments with high rates of change. And lastly, you may have event tools. While they're useful for muting noisy tooling and their alerts, they can't see problem trends, and they're designed for centralized NOC operations. So a little comparison between monitoring and observability. Let's say, for example, that I want to run a marathon. From a monitoring perspective, I could go see my doctor, have my vitals checked, discuss injuries, current eating and sleeping patterns. But from an observability perspective, I could actually capture this data in real time as I train throughout the week to make better decisions about when to rest, when to eat, and when to train. And the latter approach is really what we need for our mission critical apps as we accelerate delivery. Really a complete view from infra to app so we can make smarter decisions in real time. And then lastly, this little snippet is from our friends at Gartner, just validating the rise of observability and its importance in the industry. So what is Tanzu Observability by Wavefront? All of the challenges that we discussed were first discovered by engineering teams operating at scale. Their stories led our founders who had observed solutions created and leveraged at Twitter and Google to ultimately create a platform for everyone else. Tanzu Observability is an enterprise-grade platform built for modern apps running at scale. It's one complete window into the health of your apps, your infrastructure, allowing teams to quickly identify and resolve issues before they negatively impact customers. And essentially, this is how we measure success with Tanzu Observability. A lot of our customers have been able to detect issues up to 10 times faster than traditional tools. And it's sort of a domino effect. This can result in up to 80% faster mean time to resolution. Having one unified view gives teams the ability to collaborate, solve problems faster, and give both customers and employees a great experience. And as a unified metric store, we can give teams standardization across their multiple environments and reduce and actually consolidate tooling. And lastly, we're a lot more dramatic than traditional APM and logging tools in terms of cost with a market-leading scale. Some of our largest customers, Lyft, Box, Workday, these guys are sending us millions of metrics per second, and they're returning answers back at the same speed. So very different in terms of scale compared to some of our other competitors who are talking about millions of metrics per minute. And then lastly, these are some of our largest customers who really rely on Tanzu Observability to triage, alert, and correlate across the full stack. Today, Tanzu Observability is being adopted by some of the largest enterprises in the world, in addition to some of the hottest startups with more than 25,000 engineers. And now that I have set the stage, I'd like to kick it over to Dave to actually share a demo with you all. I'm gonna stop sharing.
All right, thank you, Erin. So this is just a sweet little demo that is designed to really answer the question, why Tanzu Observability? What is the point? What are we trying to achieve with all this observation? And the answer is really, it's to get ahead of problems before they cause us real problems. So when we see something starting to go wrong, catch it, hopefully get to mean time to resolution quickly, resolve the issue and move on with our lives. And so setting the scene here, we have in this top left a KPI, a key performance indicator, something that we really care about, that we're observing. And we don't need to know how it got here, but pulling metrics in from all the things you care about is a requirement for monitoring and observing. But we've got that thing here, and it's transactions per second. So it could be our database, it could be an application, it could be our web service, something that we really care about. And it's been trundling along nicely at some particular rate. And then all of a sudden it started to drop. And the reason we're even here is because we got an alert. Wavefront can give you an alert. We set that up ahead of time. And it's essentially, it's a dynamic alert. It's not a transactional limit or anything like that. It's a rate of change. And it says the rate of this transactions per second has changed in the wrong way. It's decreased by 10% or more in the last 10 minutes. That is, from here to here, it's dropped by at least 10%. So we weren't spending our day looking at this pane of glass, wondering if anything was going to happen. We came here because something alerted us, and perhaps we got an email or a PagerDuty alert or something came up in Slack. So as the on-call DevOps person, we're here to see what the issue is and see what we need to do to resolve it and keep everything happy again, because this is going in the wrong way. This is a bad trend. So with metrics, we get all sorts of metadata associated with them. So you can see we've got availability zones and production. You can also see it's tests. So we can look at these different things. And one of the things we can look at is we can look at the transactions by customer. So for each transaction, we know which customer's performing it. And when we do that and we look at this, we can see that we have 5 nominal customers in here. All 5 customers are being affected by this drop in performance. Well, that's not good. We don't want to upset customers. The next thing you know, we're going to get a phone call or a Twitter feed or something bad going to happen. So we want to get on this pretty rapidly. And then let's look at it by app instance, by the machines that are actually performing the work for us. And when we do that, we get a break. We see that only one of the machines, app 5, is having a problem. Well, if you had no other tools, the simple thing to do at this point would be restart app 5 and keep your fingers crossed. But we want to do more than that. We want to get to the root cause, or at least as close as we can. We want to understand which part of the system is having a problem so that we can address that problem and never have to do this again. So this is where what we can do comes in. So I'm going to switch this to app 5, and that's going to drive this chart over here that's marked correlation. And what we have are all the metrics that we're pulling in for app 5. And you can see we've got disk space at 500 gigs, and we've got process thread numbers at 200. And we've got all this huge range of numbers. So if I want to correlate between all the different metrics that are in here and see if any of them match that pattern of the transactions per second, it's rather difficult like this. I can't just look at these numbers because they're all over the place. They're huge. I could try and filter them down a bit, to 10 million, and now I see a slightly different view because I've limited, the numbers. Or I can go all the way down to 1,000, but then I've cut out a bunch of stuff and I still can't see everything. So what we do for this is we normalize all of the data. That is, we change it so all of it lives in the range 0 to 1, which is great. I can see everything, right? I can see it all on the same graph, and there, in fact, is our transactions per second that we want to correlate against. Now, what I want to do is I want to find something or anything in that set of data that correlates with my transaction count. So this is my transaction count. I want to find something that has the same shape as this. Not value, as we know, the values are all over the place. We want something that has the same approximate shape as this line, either the same as this line or the inverse, because going low and then high at the same point would effectively give be the same kind of thing. So we're going to run a correlation. And this is going to correlate across all of the data points that we saw. There are about 10,000 data points being correlated right now. And it was looking for a 70% correlation. So anything with the 70% the same as what we're looking for matches in this case. And when we do that, we get 4 results. We get the transactions totals counter itself. That's what we're correlating against. We get log errors, makes sense. We're seeing some problems. We get memory free, and we get garbage collection. Well, that's pretty interesting. Now, I don't know where in my code anything's going wrong, but what this tells me from a high level perspective is I've got a memory problem. I don't have a server problem. I don't have a network problem. It's not a database problem. It's a memory problem. And that tells me which part of the team I need to go and talk to. I don't have to have a war room with all the groups of people that have interest in this application. I can take this and I can get a quick link here, and I can give that to the application team, who I suspect are going to need to look into their memory fault and say, hey guys, there's a problem. Did you roll something out? Have you put out a canary that hasn't been properly tested? Did you change something? But anyway, we've got this memory fault, and you can look at it. And they can take that link, they can drop it into their browser. It doesn't matter how we send it to them. It could be Slacked or emailed or anything else. And when they do that, you'll see the correlations rerunning again, because they're getting the exact same view that I had. And they can take this and they can look at it and they can go, oh, okay, this is really interesting. And now they know what to do about it. And of course, we can restart app 5 in the short term, but what we really want to do is resolve this problem here in the longer term, so that we never have to come back here and do this ever again. And that, in a nutshell, is why Wavefront. Get ahead of problems, stay ahead of problems, get down to the root cause, keep the war rooms to a minimum, and keep your systems running at full and optimal performance. And that's that demo.
If you're interested in a more in-depth conversation or tailored solution demo, please feel free to reach out to Aaron, David, or myself via our contact information here. Thanks, and we'll talk soon.